Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar of Agility for Everyone when running faster is not an option. My name is Lynn Madden. I'm a OneMind Dog instructor from Australia, and I'm really pleased to be presenting this topic because as someone that can't run very fast, it's very near and dear to my heart. So let's have a look at some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this webinar. The first thing we're going to talk about are the essential foundation skills we all need, the handling techniques that are going to help you when you can't run, the importance of having good obstacle focus, troubleshooting when things, when you can't run, looking at parallel lines and lead legs, and also looking at critical points on course and some course analysis information. Firstly, though, before we get started, I do have a little video for you, but just wanted to touch on how we become the OneMind Dogs method. So Yanita's dog Tekla went deaf when she was in the middle of her, career, when she was at the top of it. And so Yanita then had to look at ways that she could communicate with Tekla that weren't necessarily all verbal based. So during that time, she was able to observe Tekla in training and just naturally, and decided she found a way that she could communicate with Tekla through natural body language. And this became the foundations to the OneMind Dog method. So when she was looking at it from Tekla's perspective, so from the dog's perspective, she worked out how they communicate together and build that really deep communication with their dog, and came up with the fundamentals of the OneMind Dogs method today. So let's just play a little video.
Tekla lost her hearing in 2003. There was only one option left: to handle her dog without any verbal commands. And so began a journey of discovery. Learning from mistakes and trying different approaches. What happens if my chest is pointing to this direction? How important is the angle of my feet? What does the position of my hands say? Gradually, Yanita, with Tekla's help, learned to understand agility from the dog's perspective. What kinds of signals a dog reacts to on the course. OneMind Dogs is based on dogs' natural behavior. Any dog, from anywhere in the world, will instantly understand us. We achieve good results without a lot of repetition, because for dogs, it simply makes sense.
So that's the story behind how we all started with the OneMind Dog method. So let's talk foundation skills. As a person who cannot run, and I have a fast boy border collie now, Drift, he's taught me a lot about handling when you can't move quickly and you have a fast dog. And so I'm actually, before we get started with the foundation skills, I'm going to show you a video of Drift and I at a recent competition. It got us into the finals for this competition. We came second in a big class. And so I just want you to see where I'm at in terms of my ability to move on course, so you have a bit of an idea from where I'm coming from. So let's have a look at Drift and I at a recent competition. So as you can see, I have my knees braced because my knees are very full of arthritis. And so this is just us trying our hardest to get round the course. And as you can see, while I can move, I'm not the fastest person in the world. And so I have to come up with other skills in order for us to survive. So the one thing that I have going for me is that, and it's an interesting one, because 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which meant when Drift was a puppy, he was about 9 months old when I was diagnosed. I went through surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, medication. So about a year of my life was spent very physically under the weather, with a high heart rate, which meant that I couldn't overly exert myself to make sure that I didn't hurt myself. So I spent a lot of time at this foundation level with Drift at that time, because I could not do anything else where I could move fast or even get myself into a high cardiac rate. So foundations became the thing that we did together. And so this really brought forward for me the importance of spending time at this level. A lot of people do think that, you know, if they do the foundations quickly, then they can move on to the fun things. The fun thing is the foundation, because once you build this strong foundation, you can really start to have fun with the more advanced stuff because they have a solid basis. So when I'm looking at foundations, we're looking at a couple of different things. We're looking at your rewarding system and how you can help your dog become an efficient learner and really help them understand what we're asking them to do. So we're doing that by having a strong reward system where we know what they like to be rewarded with, we know how they like to be rewarded, and we know where they need to be rewarded. So they're some of the things that you really need to understand in your reward system. The second thing about the foundation is building that forward focus. And that means having your dog be able to move forward and advance on a course without necessarily having you need to be right next to them. It's one of those skills that you need in order to build a dog that can be more independent on course. And the more independent your dog can be on course, the less you need to be able to physically run fast. The other thing is obstacle skills. Having a dog that can perform a jump, do the dog walk, do the tunnel without needing you to physically be there all the time is another way that we're increasing our dog's ability to be independent and have that drive forward. The other one is commitment. So when we have a dog, when we send a dog somewhere, once they commit to an obstacle, that allows us to then move somewhere else. And later on, we talk about critical points. It allows us to get further along the course to the point that we need to be at physically in order to make that course work. So having good commitment allows you to get to those critical points on course that you absolutely need to. The other skill that I use a lot on course is the turning away skills, like your flick handling, tandem turns, rear crosses. They're things I use a lot because, one, you can do them at a distance really nicely. Your dog understands them well. And also, I tend to be behind my dog a reasonable amount in agility. So having the skills to be able to turn your dog away, impact their lead leg from a distance is a really good skill to have. All of these skills are built at the foundation level. So we're going to go through some of the exercises that we do at the foundation level, and I'm going to show you drift as a puppy and then drift now. So I did this probably a month ago, 2 months ago, I did the videos for this. And so you'll see where drift started and where he got to. So the first one is jump offering. So here you can see it's the beginning of jump offering. Drift would have only been 4 or 5 months old, and you can just see I'm waiting for him to offer the jump and slowly moving the jump out and waiting for him to offer. Yes, and then rewarding him for that. So this is the very beginning of the foundations. Some people only get to this point and then they move on. However, this is a skill you really want to build until you can get your dog sending from like 5-6 meters away. And once you get to that point, then you've built this jump offer skill really well, and it allows you to have independence on course. So this is drift now, and you can see he basically will offer to take a jump from meters away, which just allows me to be able to send him on course and increase his commitment. This jump offering just helps you get that obstacle focus and helps you get that commitment focus. So you can see he's got this really nicely, and it's a skill we use a lot on course. The next one we have is going to be looking at building commitment. Again, this is just wing wraps. So this was when I'm just going to restart that. So this is when Drift was a little puppy. So he would have only been 12, 13 weeks of age here. And we started doing this wing offer nice and early. And so when we do this, we're showing the dog what we want to do, rewarding, and then now I can send him and run away. So that's what I'm meaning. So firstly, it starts with you up close to the obstacle. Then we want to build it so I can send to the jump, and then I can run away, and he will still stay committed. So that's the sort of level you want to build for your dog to be able to go from you being close to an obstacle to you being able to get away from the obstacle. So that was building commitment. And the last one, and I think one of the most important pieces, or at least in conjunction with all of these three, is this forward focus piece. For me, if I didn't have forward focus with my dog on course now, I would not be able to get around the courses. I have a dog that is very handler focused, which means she likes to run next to me. And I've stopped running her in agility simply because I can't manage her around a course physically, because I can't run fast enough. I can't keep up to be able to give her the cues she needs to get around a course nicely, because she doesn't have this forward focus. So this is Drift learning his forward focus work. Again, it starts at the foundation level. I'm going to send him to the treat in the dish. That's how we start our forward focus work. Seems very, very simple, and it is. This is how we start all of our skills in agility. We just, on the flat, building these skills, building his understanding, and he learns to send to the dish. This was then when I had some help with Nikki. He's learning to have some forward focus on the obstacles. And you can see there, he was interested in the toy. And so he's a baby. We're still teaching him what he wants. So we place the toy. Again, reward placement, important. And then you can see him looking. And then you could see I released him when he was looking at me. And so he didn't have that forward focus. So here you can see Nikki changes it up. So again, really good training is to be able to adjust on the fly. So he's got it wrong twice now. So we're making it simpler. And so this is good information for all training sessions. If something goes wrong a couple of times, it's time to make it simpler to help them understand what we want. So there he looked at the toy. I sent him forward to the pod. And you can see he got it right once. Nikki moves back a little bit and we try again. This is where having a partner or a training partner can be really helpful, because it allows you to have somebody else helping you out with these skills. Again, I'm putting the pod down. He's looking at it. He's looking at me. He's getting ready. I'm going to run this time. He's looking at me. He looks at the toy. He releases. Off he goes. And so these are skills. He's having no other thought other than, getting the toy, chasing his mother, having a good time. Again, you can see Nikki moving back, and we build this skill again now. Also, having a puppy that will go to your training partner makes it easy. I don't have to keep taking it up there. Again, he's got the pod. So now we're back to where we started, and let's see if he's learnt through this little process what we're asking of him. So you can see he knows where the toy is, and he misses again. That's fine. I lost connection with him because I was focused on trying to run down there and help him get to the toy. So you'll see this time I'll have much better connection. So we're just going to try it again at this level, and we look at having better connection and trying this again. And so you can see he's actually got a nice look down the row of jumps now. He's looking at me there, he's looking at the toy, and I have to help him there, then you can see him drive forward. So we spent a lot of work at this sort of training level to get this skill. And then you can see we go to where he is now. And I can pretty much send him from anywhere down a row of obstacles, and his forward focus is awesome. And so it's definitely a skill I need to have because I just can't move fast. So I need him to be able to focus forward and drive his line. So that's just a brief overview of how foundation exercises are so important to this handling when you can't run faster. So we talked about rewarding, and in that video, you saw how important rewarding became. Being effective with your rewarding is determined by the type of the reward, the placement of the reward, and the handler attitude. So I really encourage you to think about this deeply. What does your dog like? Does it like tugging? Does it like food? Does it like a game of chase? It could be out of the box thinking about what your dog likes. And rewarding is really dog dependent, and your dog gets to choose what it finds rewarding. I want you to think about that. Your dog gets to choose what it finds rewarding. So just because you like a certain type of reward does not necessarily mean your dog is going to. So think about what makes your dog the happiest, and we're going to use that on course. Placement of the reward, like the video we just watched, you can see placing the reward on the line you want the dog to take will help the dog drive that line. And using reward placement is how we build forward focus and independence on course. The next is handler attitude. This is a really important one as well. You can't fake it with your dogs. You need to be really genuine when you're rewarding. I find a lot of people are not necessarily afraid, but don't want to be, like, their nature is generally quiet. So when they reward, they're quiet and subdued. Sometimes you need to get a little ramped up so that your dog believes it's the most amazing thing in the world. So when I'm training, I'm quite effusive with my dogs. I'm effusive with my students as well. And sometimes I'll have dogs that my students are running come running over to me because I'm praising the student, and the voice that's coming out of me gets the dog really excited. So they want to come over and see what's going on. So think about that when you're rewarding your dog. It's not just throwing the food or giving them food. Make sure you're incorporating like a happy attitude into it as well. And my biggest piece of advice is if you're not in the mood to train, then don't train, because your dogs can sense that type of thing. And generally the training session's not going to yield what you want it to. So the takeaway from there is effective rewarding will increase the desire to do the tasks we're asking them to do. So we really need them to really enjoy what we're giving them. Now, techniques that help. So all techniques that we have in the OneMind Dog system and in agility generally can be done at a distance, most of them. And so you just need to look at how you can build your ability to handle your dog from further away. A lot of that comes down to the 7 handling elements that we have. And we have some great webinars on that you can go look at later on. But basically how we use our body to tell our dogs what we want them to do. And so you can do that whether you're 1 meter from the jump or whether you're 5 meters from the jump. We're still using the same body language that we would do if we were running hard with our dogs. The things that I find really helpful on course are these 3 techniques. In particular, when I can't run faster, I have to come up with options to handle. And these are my go-to options, usually when I can't get into position for a particular handling that I might like to do. So the first one is a flick. The second one is a tandem turn. And the third one is our ever-present rear cross, which is a godsend when you can't run fast. So I have a little clip of Drift doing these couple of techniques. We deep dive onto the website into all of these techniques, but I just wanted to give you a little taste of what they look like. So here's Drift. It's not the best quality video. Doing a flick. So I'm going to restart that. So here he is. And after this pink jump is where I turn him to take the backside. And you can see I can do that from a reasonable distance away. The next one is going to be a tandem turn. And Tulia is doing that here. So you can see she's quite a distance away from that jump. And the tandem turn is a real beneficial technique for that to happen. And here is the rear cross that I'm doing there from a really big distance away. That is the 3 techniques that I would use mostly on course. Now, of course, that's a really big, broad overview. And yes, you have to build the skills on these to be able to do them at a distance. But understanding that there are techniques out there that will help you on course allows you to think, okay, what skills do I need to build? What techniques are going to help? And then you can focus on learning those together with your dog so that you can then implement them on course. So if you are a person that struggles to run or has mobility issues, looking into the different techniques that you can do from a bigger distance or that enables you to handle from behind is really beneficial. Now, the importance of obstacle focus. Now, we've done a little bit of talking on this already, but obstacle focus is when your dog is looking at the next thing on course. So as you can see in the picture, when the dog locks onto the obstacle, we call that 1, commitment, and 2, obstacle focus. The higher the obstacle focus, the stronger cues you need to give them to keep your dog from going to everything they see in front of them. Drift is a little bit at that stage now where sometimes he will just find a line and stay on it, even if I'm telling him we've got to go somewhere else. So it's a balance that you need to find when we're building this. But this obstacle focus is absolutely vital for distance handling and independence. So what is the optimal balance? I've recently done a premium webinar for people on handler versus obstacle focus, which we really deep dive into this topic. But basically, we want to emphasize obstacle focus because we think the dog's main job in agility is to perform the obstacles on the course independently. So we want them to be able to advance down the course independent of us, and we're there to give them the cues about when they need to change direction and guide them around the course. So generally speaking, we want about 60% obstacle focus compared to 40% handler focus. Probably going forward, I'm probably more along the lines of 85% obstacle focus at the moment. I'd like to bring that down to about 70 if I can, so that I can have that nice balance of my dog being able to advance on course while I'm still able to give him directions even from behind. Now, troubleshooting. This is where people start to go, well, I've done all the foundation work and now we're out there trying it, but things are going wrong. So the concepts that I really want you to think about when things are going wrong and how to help are parallel lines and leading legs. A lot of things that go wrong on the agility course can be down to these couple of concepts. The first one you can see on this picture, if we look at the green line, if I were to run straight the dog should take the same line parallel next to me. So you can see I'm running there fast. On the green line, the dog is taking the green line, taking those jumps parallel. You can see underneath there's a shadowed runner. That's the same parallel line from a distance. So you can start to get out that far to be able to layer that jump in the middle. And I do a lot of my handling from that far away. And so you can see whether you're runner number 1 at the top or runner number 2 at the bottom, you can see running the same line should have the dog keeping on the same parallel line to you, doing those couple of jumps. Now, if I wanted to send my dog to the backside of 2, you can see I'm going to have to change the line that I'm running on in order to influence my dog's line. And so again, you can see if I angle towards the jump, the dog should take the jump and angle towards the outside of the wing because of that whole parallel line issue. Again, you can do this from a distance once you build those skills, but that's the basic concept. Dogs will naturally move on the parallel line with the handler, whether you're close or further away from a distance. So when you start to think about what might be going wrong on course, did you change your line? Did you come in and then move away? Did you move away from your dog? All these things can impact on your dog staying on the line that you want them to. So having a really good understanding of how parallel lines work and how your line influences your dog line will really help you into the future when trying to handle more at a distance because you can't make certain points on course. Leading legs. So leading legs are the leg that your dog is on when they're moving forward. Dogs can only naturally turn in the direction of their leading leg. And as you can see in the picture, that's their lead leg in the canter. Generally speaking, dog's lead leg will be the same side that you're on. And you can basically think, okay, if I'm on the right side of the dog's right lead leg is going to be forward. And so they can turn naturally to the right. And that's why I talked about having good turning away skills in the foundation part, because when I'm at a distance or behind and my dog's on their right lead leg and I need them to go left, I need them to be able to turn away from me. And that involves understanding how to change their lead leg when you're at a distance or when you're behind your dog, then understanding how lead legs work and how you can influence the dog's ability to turn based on changing that lead leg is a game changer. Once you start to understand how all of that works, and we have some great information on the site about lead legs and techniques that help the lead leg change, like the flick, the tandem turn, and the rear cross is all about changing their lead leg. And they're the skills that can really help when you're not there to influence the dog's turn any other way. Now I have a video of drift, again, showing some of this parallel line work at a couple of trials. And again, you're going to see, this is my little start line routine, but you're going to see me not being able to be there and drift, having one, the dog walk obstacle skill, tunnel obstacle skill. I'm going to restart that again. Video likes to skip. So again, you can see he does the dog walk, hits that tunnel, and then I can layer the weaves and he just keeps on his line. Here again, I'm keeping on his parallel line while he layers the dog walk. Here, I got so excited that he did it that I celebrated a bit too early and he pulled off the last jump. Here again, you can see I'm doing a front cross at a distance, and then I lost him from his obstacle, forward focus. And again, you can see here, I'm rear crossing from a distance, front crossing, and then again, handling here, I'm a little late. But you can see all of that's done at a distance. And so all of that's done understanding all of these key points, how to run the parallel line, understanding where his lead leg's at, that I can start to guide him around the course at that bigger distance. Now, critical points and course analysis. Critical points, these are the really important points that the handler has to reach in time to negotiate the next sequence successfully for the dog. They're the points at which you must be in a certain position to help your dog understand the course and do the actual thing. So when you are planning your course walk and coming up with a plan on how to handle it, you need to first identify those critical points. They're the points at which you must be at in order to be successful. Once you know that you have to be at that point, you can then work backwards and work out, okay, if I need to be there, how am I going to manage the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be able to get to 6? And once you have your critical points sorted out, you can then plan your handling. Now, I have a video to play, and it's an older video of Nikki with her dog Flo and Connie and her dog Panda. They're two very different handlers running the same course, and you'll see they make different handling choices based on their ability to move. Connie has some mobility issues, and you can see she chooses some very different handling to Nikki, who can move around the course quite easily. So this is an older video of ours, but you can see here, Nikki's able to run and move ahead of her dog quite nicely and get to the points that she wants to in order to negotiate the course. Here you can see she gets up here and does a nice front cross. Can get right up in there and help Flo find her way around the course by helping with her physicality and her body positioning as well. Next, we have Connie and Panda. And you can see they'll be doing some very different choices to help their dog understand where they want them to go. Here in particular, you can see Connie stays on the landing side of this jump rather than go down to the tunnel with Panda to help be able to stay up into position. Here you can see Connie can't get down there for the front cross that Nikki did, so she did more of a distance send with some layering. Again, a distance send with a double lap turn instead of the reverse wrap that Nikki chose. All of these things are just to help Connie reach the critical point she needs to, but still manage to get around the course with slightly different options that allow her to manage to get down the course to where she needs to be. And both handlers were able to run the course clean with different handling options. So the importance of course analysis. I've recently done a guided course on the website with this course in it. And in this course, we really dove deep into how to analyze courses so that you can start to think about these things in order to understand how to run a course if you can't get physically into position that other people can. So you can see on this course map, we have the solid line, which is the path we would like the dog to take. That's where we think the dog should be able to go. But if you look at the jagged line or the spaced line, that is the natural line for the dog when they're taking the obstacle. So understanding that when your dog takes off for an obstacle, if they jump in a straight line, that's where they're going to land. So dogs are not bananas, as Unita says. They're not going to bend just all of a sudden on a jump. So this is understanding when dogs are not running a straight line. Like you can see 10, 11, there's not a need for that jagged line because the dog is jumping in a straight line. So where they take off from and where they're going to land is what we want them to do. Same with 13, 12 to 13 to 14. So if you're at a situation where the dog needs to deviate from that straight line, you have to start thinking about how you're going to tell the dog about the turn. And when I look at courses, my first thought is I want to be on the inside curve of the dog so that in the line 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to be on the inside of 2, 3, 4, 5 so that my dog is on the inside lead leg to me. It's a natural turn for them to do that. So that helps your dog understand where we want them to go on course. Then you can see 5, 6, 7, 8, they have a different curve. So I then want to be on the inside of that curve. So I have to think about how am I going to change my handling side to be from the inside curve of the first bit to being on the inside curve of the second bit. And so all of this takes some thought and understanding of how you and your dog work as a team. For me, if I was running this course, I think I would probably be handling leading out to 2, sending drift out over 3 to 4, staying on the inside, doing a tandem turn to the backside of 6, sending to the tunnel, and I would probably layer all of the jumps 4 and 5 on the way back to be able to get down towards 9 to be able to help that line. And so that would be very different to people that could handle roll running, because a lot of people, when they looked at this course, were doing either a nice front cross or a nice early blind cross between 4 and 5. Whereas I don't think I could physically get there to cue that nicely. And so for me, the tandem turn becomes the option to be able to handle that line for my dog. So understanding, 1, your capabilities to get around the course, 2, the skills your dog has, and then working out how you can combine the 2 on the course to come up with the handling options that are going to work best for you. And the way that you work out what's going to work best for you is to basically go on trial and error. Set something up that you could do a few different ways and try them out, and then work out what works best for you. And then you can put that away in your mental list of things that if I see this sort of challenge, I know how to handle it. And a lot of people, and this is where I really wanted to do this webinar for you all, is a lot of people are just going to say, well, you need to run faster so you can get between 4 and 5 with a blind. And they'll be going, run, run, run. And unfortunately, it's not the main option for a lot of us. We cannot always physically run faster to solve the problem. So when you can't physically run faster to solve the problem, you have to have other selections. So I think this is the really important part of understanding the skills you and your dog both have and how to analyze a course in order to see that. So if you want to deep dive into this, we have a guided course that's finished running, but you can go and revisit. That's really great for this type of information. So some final thoughts. Just run faster is not a solution. And I think if people are telling you to just run faster, they're not living in your body. They're not living in your situation. So my thought is you go, whatever, and just come up with your own system. If you are challenged physically, you need to build more skills with your dog. That it's an absolute truth. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because it's not. It's a lot harder, I think, to handle your dog when you're not necessarily right there with them. If I could run faster, that'd be awesome, because I would love to run with my dog to be able to get there to really help my dog understand and help them with their turns. But as my side of the team, I can't physically do it. So I have to build the skills in my dog so that Drift can understand what I'm asking from, no matter where I am, no matter where he is, so that we have clear communication on course to be able to still negotiate and play this game that we love. I love agility. He loves running agility. So I have to come up with a solution to make agility fun for both of us. And it's definitely working for me. I'm loving running him. It does not always work for us, and we're still learning each other. And I'm still learning to run a fast dog like this with good drive, good forward focus, good commitment. I'm still learning how to finesse that. So I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but what I'm going to say is don't give up and go back to foundations. They are your building blocks to making agility easier. They are the foundations to having fun in agility. The more effort you put into your foundations, the more fun agility becomes. Because when your dog understands those key concepts and you build them out under distraction, under distance, and under duration, then you can really start to focus on running the courses, and running the courses becomes so much easier. So that's the message I want to take away is just run. If people are telling you to just run faster, then you need to block that out and go, what can I do to help my dog understand how to get around this course? And what am I physically capable of from my side of the team? It's a teamwork. You're both there together. So we're talking about your side of the track. What can you do to help your dog understand? And your job is to help your dog understand how to do the course based on your physical limitations. And it can be done, and it's done so well out there. So don't give up. Don't give up hope. Running faster is not always the option, but building good, strong foundations to be able to handle your dog around any course, no matter what, is definitely the solution. So thank you so much for coming to the webinar. I'm looking forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. And again, find the balance that works best for your team. You're in it together, so you are both going to have fun on course. Thank you so much for watching.